very epic uh, situation we have once again. And so let's go ahead without further ado. In Hampton, Georgia, seniors, veterans, and even cancer survivors are being told to destroy the food they planted by March 1st. A community garden built by volunteers since 2022, gone. Soiled removed, crops destroyed. And the question is why? And who benefits when citizens lose the right to grow their own food? Well, I'm here with individuals who will be able to answer that question. I'm Jerome Hill, former police officer, state investigator, and with me is retired Sheriff Victor Hill. Brother, we got a
Yes,
pretty interesting show today. If you don't mind, if you could do the honors.
absolutely. We got some very special guests. Miss Chastity, who got in contact with me to make me aware of the situation. We got Alice Williams, we got Oscar Summerlin, and we got Joy Jones. And I know at least three of them are actual gardeners there. And I'm going to let them kind of introduce themselves. And then I want to start out with Chastity telling us the history and the origin of the garden and how it got started, and then how we got where we're at today. But if everybody just introduce themselves briefly, start with Miss Chastity.
Yes. Yes. So I'm Chastity, and I did start with the garden back in 2022. At that time, I was working with the then Commissioner Felicia Franklin, and I got started. Um, I got started with the garden at the time that I started. It was just bare space. It was a collaboration that Felicia had thought to do for the community. I thought it was very admirable. She reached out to me to assist her with the effort because of my expertise, and I was very excited to help her with that endeavor. It was a space, and it had a couple of makeshift garden beds at the time. So I drafted in some of my people who assist with garden efforts in different places, such as Summerlin. And I even got my children involved. I used some of my own personal equipment to spruce the place up. And so that's a little history of how it started. It took some time, but once we got everything laid out, we eventually started to get gardeners in, and it was a lovely space. At that time, I got in contact with Joy because I also do community gardening in a couple other places, and I assist the efforts. And so I was letting Joy know, hey, we have this same very thing that she has in her county. We have this, and it's a wonderful thing. It's right in my own county, and it's very close to me, and I'm excited. And so I always share some of the benefit and the produce with whomever because I just love to share. And so it was a good thing at the time. So that's pretty much some of the history with that.
All right. Everybody else, introduce yourselves briefly, and then I want to start with some questions. Miss Alice Williams, introduce yourself briefly for us.
Yes, I'm Alice Williams. I am a senior citizen in the Lovejoy community. Last spring was my first year working with the garden, but it became like an everyday. Like I look forward to it, and so it's important to me to try to keep it. I am cancer has kind of ran crazy through my family, and I'm a BRCA positive cancer patient where I basically had a really big chance of getting cancer within my lifetime, but I did the preventative stuff to try to prevent it. But my mother, my father, my sister, they each have passed with cancer. My brother now, he's battling bone cancer. And I got to, the way, like today with the society, whether it is, the economy is so bad where it's expensive to try to keep up or keep vegetables and fruits and vegetables, good organic fruits and vegetables available. But I found myself, I would take it to him, and it's like his face would light up when he'd see me coming with the fresh greens, the beans, and he just talked about how good they were, and they really were. They taste better than what you would buy out of the store. You can tell the difference. And so I really would hate to lose access to this. I actually, I've invested money in getting my garden set up. Chastity, she said, make it yours. And so that's what I did. And I feel like I'm losing like a part of my home, a part of me, um, to lose it. So I don't want to lose it. So if we could do anything to try to keep it, or as we said at one point, maybe relocate it to a different place, that would be excellent. I would really love that because I really would hate to lose it.
Mr. Southern Summerlin. Look like I'm seeing double
Okay.
here. But
All right.
yeah, but
I just wanted to.
I got you. Briefly introduce yourself and your connection to the garden, please. All right, he might be having a little bit of difficulty.
Can you? Is it
Someone
better now?
Yes, better now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, briefly tell us about your connection to the garden.
Okay. I've known Chastity for years. I'm a 25-year veteran, several deployments. So I had gotten into gardening at her personal home garden, just kind of, something to do.
All right, I think he might be having some bad internet connection. Mrs. Summerlin, if you could hear us, just stand by a second. Miss Joy Jones, tell us, introduce us briefly, please.
Sure. My name is Joy Jones. I'm an amateur backyard gardener in Henry County. I actually met Chastity about 4 years ago when I relocated here from Orlando, buying seeds. At the time, I had just joined a community garden, and Chastity was interested in coming. And so she came to that garden and just lit up the place. She totally revamped. There was an herb garden, and she summarily helped every single gardener in that garden um, help their plots to thrive. Um, Two things: Chastity's expertise and her sharing. Those are two things that she puts the community in community garden.
Got it. Jerome, before we get started, so people can understand the impact this garden has and why what we're getting ready to talk about is so bizarre, can you just show the public a video of what these fine people have done? And Chastity, feel free to comment on what we're seeing.
Okay. So this is actually recent. This is the toward the end of the summer, the efforts, and that is one of the student gardeners that I was working with, and she's very, very excited. So she didn't have much right there. That's Summerlin filling up some beds, getting ready for new gardeners to come in as they come along. And that is someone that I gifted. I did a giveaway on my TikTok, and if you answer the question right, then you got the vegetables, which then I always do a giveaway. And this is that same junior gardener just going through her bed. And funny story with her, she did not have any success with growth last year, and so the year before last, and so this year, the past year, just the growing season was her first big one. She got a big one, and she was able to feed her family. And she actually gave me a cabbage, and that was so nice of her.
That's so nice.
So yeah.
Hey, if I can go ahead and get a break into this, for those of you who are not speaking, go ahead and put yourselves on mute, because I think we're getting a little bit of interference here. So we'll go from there. All righty, let's keep it going.
All right, so now that the public has got a chance to see this beautiful garden, now let's set the stage for what we're here to discuss. Okay, so we've got a garden in Clayton County, a county that, quite frankly, hasn't had a lot of positive things going on. This is extremely positive, and we're talking about fresh, organic vegetables. My understanding, I'm sure y'all collaborate on it. There are kids that come and learn gardening alongside with y'all. You got veterans, you got seniors. It's something that's been going on since 2022. People who can't afford groceries are eating from there. Cancer survivors are being healed by it. It's a very, very positive thing. So please explain to me why. Why has who and what is their reasoning for wanting to put a halt to something that's wonderful and positive going on in our community?
So, is that question for me?
I think it's for it. Well, you
Yes,
go ahead and start out. Go right ahead.
absolutely. So again, I managed the garden since 2022. So I'm always been a point of contact since it has been officiated. And nothing was different once the new administration, meaning the commissioner, had came into office. So nobody did reach out to me. And so I did reach out just to introduce myself and let her know, how I'm here to help the community.
And who is the commissioner? Say the name.
Commissioner Tasha Allen.
Okay.
So Commissioner Tasha Allen, District 3. I reached out to her to let her know that, hey, I'm here and I am willing to assist you. And this is what we have going on over here in the garden. And at the time, she was not familiar. And I kind of feel bad for even having that introduction when I replay this back, because she didn't even know that there was a garden that existed. But because I was trying to be forward and just upright, and I let her know who I am and what it is that I do.
So let's put a pin on that right there. Let's make sure the public understands that she didn't even know the garden was there and wouldn't know to this day if you wasn't nice enough to reach out to her and say, hey, we're here and we'd like you to be a part of it and know what we're doing. Correct?
That's correct.
Keep going.
So once I did reach out to her, her assistant got in contact with me. And her assistant said to me, we don't need your services. Mrs. Alexander. She said, we don't need your services. We have our own people, and thank you. So at that time, because it was almost not even a hello. And I was like, wow, that was a little dismissive, a little not nice. But I did let the gardeners know. I said, hey, listen, there's some changes, and I don't think I'm going to be a part of that change. And I let them know that I'm not going to be able to assist you, but if you need me personally, I'll always come down and help you. You guys have my number. You know how to reach me. I'm right here. I'll continue to help you. And maybe the next day or two, the same assistant got back in contact with me and said, oh no, we need your assistance. Now, just to back that up a little bit, when she did tell me she didn't need my assistance, she did offer me to go ahead and collect whatever things that I had and exit. And my contribution.
Any reason given why? What was the reason?
There was no reason that I understood. If I had to think, it appeared that because I had mentioned that I was already there, probably when the other commissioner was there, that would probably be one of the reasons. But it was never said from her mouth, so I can't say that that's for sure. But it just felt odd.
So let's clear that up for people who, we got to assume there are people who are watching that don't know Clayton County well. So basically, you don't know for sure, but your instincts are the fact that you mentioned that the former commissioner was instrumental in putting this up as to why she was not interested in you being there anymore because your connection to the former commissioner. Is that if you were a guessing person, you can't prove it, but that's your instinct.
Yeah.
Okay, and that could be possible because there is a contentious relationship between those two, and that commissioner that is behind this is married to a guy named Levon, who's the sheriff now, and he just had an incident with the former commissioner where she was pitted off the road and arrested. So that could well be true. We can't prove that, but that could very well be true. What you're saying, there's an old saying, your sixth sense is usually true. because there's no real logical reason why she's giving this. She did come up with a reason afterwards, and we'll get into that. So keep going.
So when she said that I can take my things. Now, when you say things, I brought the garden there. I just did not put the parcel of land there. I laid the lumber. I brought the tools in. I brought the supplies in. I brought the resource in because at the time, the previous commissioner, Felicia, she was very upfront and honest, and I love that about her. She didn't know much about gardening, so she reached out to someone who did, which was me. And we worked together very, very closely to get it to be a shining place for District 3. And I was so happy to be able to do that with her. And
About how much dollars worth of stuff you have there? I think you said you got soil there too, right?
yes, so
all together, the money you spent, how much, if you put the soil and everything, roughly about how much you got invested there?
I have well over $2,000 personally invested. Well over. I literally stopped counting because I wasn't doing it for a payback. I was doing it for the community. I was doing it for the seniors. I was doing it for the children. And so I didn't say, okay, this is what it is. And it's funny because Oscar has the truck. And so when I need to do big things, I need to call somebody with something to help me. And so he stopped me. He stopped me and asked me, he said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing this for the people. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And so it was a conscious decision that I made. I literally stopped counting.
All right.
I have a lot in there.
So tell me now. So you get called one day and told we don't need you. Then you get called and say, well, we do need you. So you can what? Get your stuff?
So when Yolanda Alexander, who is the current commissioner's constituent aide, she was the one who said that I can go ahead, that they have their own people. That was very a little rough. So they had somebody to soften the blow. There was another young lady who called me, and her name is Tamara. Very nice young lady. She called me and she said, hi, and she introduced herself. She was a little more friendly. And Yolanda, she's very firm. So I ended up meeting her afterwards, and she's a very firm person. And sometimes firm people can come off like that. And so
what did the second woman say?
The second woman said, oh, we do need your assistance. Don't go anywhere. Just stay put. So I had to communicate with the community again. Hey, there's been a change of heart. So I guess I'm not going anywhere. And so I continue to stay at the garden now. My position at the garden is I'm only a vessel. So I'm just assisting everybody. And then
no, we get that, but I want you to get to something real quick. Okay. So how did we get where we're at now? Y'all being told that y'all got to move stuff out of the garden. Tell me about that.
So
you got to explain the personalities of the people. Just tell me what you're being told to do and how it affects everybody. Go ahead.
Okay, so right now, us being asked to exit the garden, that came on February the 10th at about 7 p.m. 6 to 7 p.m. on February 10th. And that came straight from the commissioner, from her email, straight to me. So I did communicate to the rest of the gardeners that, hey, as of March 1st, we have to exit. This is coming from the commissioner herself. And there was no reason of why.
What did she say exactly?
She said, as of March the 1st, you can, verbatim, I would have to look it up, but it went something to, and I'm looking it up now as we're talking. March the 1st, everybody needs to get their things, and the garden will be closed at that time.
This is an email?
It's an email.
So you just got an email, and that's what it says. Is that all it says? Does it say anything else?
It doesn't have very much other content there, but, and I'm trying to pull that up now. My apologies.
Okay.
Yeah, but I translated that over to the rest of the gardeners, and I let them know as of March the 1st. Now, she also had, because there was phone calls and emails. So Alexander had called, Tamara had called, and they had said verbally that the reason that the commissioner wants to do away with the garden is for, initially it was to sell to 4-H.
Okay.
And that was earlier in. Then it changed over to youth, well, a refuge, a place for the youth, troubled youth, to receive emotional support and to just have a safe haven, is what she said, safe haven.
And I got a copy of that, and I want to read that for us because it's something I want to bring out on that. So basically, you get told you got to be gone by March 1st, and you're given 2 reasons why after the fact, and that's where we're at now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Summerlin, Miss Williams, Miss Jones, do y'all want to weigh in on this? Because I want to read to the public exactly what Tasha Allen wrote as the reason why, because I think people are going to find this interesting. But y'all go ahead and weigh into that while I pull this up.
Okay, for me, first of all, gardening, that's kind of like, it's either you're born into it, you grew up on a farm, but gardening, it's an acquired taste for it. And so to try, if this a safe haven for troubled youth, already we know troubled youth don't like to work. Gardening is hard work. And so if you're going to introduce a troubled youth to something that's hard, they kind of need a mentor that's going to be a positive influence on them. Say a elder, a policeman, somebody that's going to be a positive influence to have them engage.
Okay, I think his internet went out. Miss Williams, you want to weigh in, or Miss Jones?
Yes, I agree with Oscar where if they are going to bring in troubled youth, I think, okay, that's a good idea, but I still feel like we would be able to help them because we've had a little experience. And even Chastity said that she felt that I had a green thumb because my vegetables and my me doing it first time, I had a great crop. It was excellent, and most people were surprised that it was mine. And so Chastity helped me a lot. I asked her lots of questions. I was at the beginning. I would talk with her every single day. She was always there for me, and even others. I saw her on the phone. I saw her corresponding back and forth with. But I do agree that allow us to help, allow us to monitor the youth if that's something that she wants to do. Okay, I think that would be something that some of us would enjoy. I would enjoy it. I think that would be a good idea, but it doesn't seem like they want our help. They're kind of just like, oh, you all are not useful or not, you know, helpful to me. So I'm going to bring in some new people. But we've had some great crops out there. So allow us, we know what we're doing. So allow us to help.
All right, Miss Jones, you got anything you want to say?
You're on
Miss
mute.
Jones, you
Ms.
on mute. You on mute, ma'am.
As I was saying, I don't know anything about the political wranglings that are going on, but I can't imagine a safer haven than a garden for young people. You know, whatever your background is, all faiths have us starting in a garden. I mean, just all the studies that show the benefits of gardening, how it alleviates depression, how it just builds a whole lot of interpersonal skills. And what better gift to give someone than to teach them to grow their own food? That is a lifelong skill that is relevant across generations. And the fact that you've got intergenerational connectivity there, again, that is a safe haven already built. It would just be beautiful if it wasn't an either or, but a but and, if there's any way they can make that happen. That's just my 2 cents worth.
I got you. So let's play a game here for a second. We're gonna play good cop, bad cop. when I spent time as a detective, my job was to catch inconsistencies and catch folks. Quite frankly, let me just say it because I'm gonna be the bad cop. Catch folks lying. And here's what I see that's inconsistent about this whole thing. Ms. Chastity has already said that Tasha Allen didn't even know the garden existed. So if you didn't know the garden existed, you probably would have never known had she not said anything to her for her to even come and kick him out. Now let's read this statement that Tasha put on what you call it next door in response when people started being outraged. So you can see the inconsistencies. Not y'all be the good cop, let me be the bad guy. I'll take the brunt of this because I'm gonna call it as I see it. It says here, and it's written, I wouldn't call it AI, but it's a bunch of political mumbo jumbo. And it says, I would have never expected to be met with negativity from making the decision centered on supporting the future of Clayton County, our youth, providing safe, structured spaces for young people should never be controversial. I hate when politicians write like that. It bores me and it sounds silly. Okay, it says the decision to repurpose the space was made intentionally. The space is being repurposed for youth to learn to garden, gain life skills, and engage in positive, structured environment that helps keep them off the street. Okay, well, if that's the case, why not take them and bring them to y'all and say, look what's going on here. Why don't y'all start learning? If they can even get them there, because most of the killers ain't coming to see it anyway. Okay, then it goes on to say, what is especially troubling is the violence we are seeing in and around Lovejoy. Young people as young as 14 are being arrested and sentenced for murder. That reality should concern us all. These are children whose lives are being permanently altered, and is a clear sign that early intervention, mentorship, and safe spaces are urgently needed. I hope somebody wrote this for her because it sounds so cheesy. Okay, how do you take kids that are already murdering people and shooting people and get them to a garden anyway? And you telling me that you're going to kick seniors out so they can come in and garden? It makes no sense. Then it goes on to say, our most productive response would have been to ask how to help, whether it's mentoring a child, volunteering time, or supporting programs that redirect our youth towards positive paths. That is the kind of engagement that truly strengthens our community. While I understand that not everyone will agree with every decision, my responsibility is to prioritize what best serves the long-term safety and well-being of Clayton County. Invest in our youth is invest in our future. I remain committed to making decisions that protect, support, and strengthen our community, even when those decisions are met with criticism, with purpose. Okay, that's a lie. That's not a purpose. There's a backstory behind that. That makes absolutely no sense. If you're going to take out food that's already growing that hasn't even harvested yet, take out tools, take out soil, how is that going to help the youth when they can come in and join in with what y'all doing right now? I see nothing but a bunch of deception and a bunch of political mumbo jumbo. Jerome, be the good guy and jump in here and tell me how wrong I am about Tasha.
You're so wrong that you're right. Let's go ahead and put it this way. For her to go ahead and start mansplaining when nobody asked her for that is the epitome of just putting each and every one of you down in the hard work that you've done. Her explaining is chat GPT-ish, if you will. I'm not quite sure she wrote that.
I pray to God it is because it's so cheesy. I hope she didn't write it, but go ahead.
Right. But what you're essentially doing at that point in time is she wasn't speaking to you. She's speaking over you and saying, this is what we're going to do with it. Not even the calculus of putting you guys together and say, most politicians want to go ahead and do some type of collaboration because they know, hey, guess what? If I do this, I'm able to get a pronounced benefit from that. That wasn't the case here. And I want you to take a look at some of these stats that I just looked at. This is from the USDA. This is the urban farming trends. Cities with the biggest increases in losses. It is, let me go ahead and put that back up because I think it brings up an incredible thought pattern here. Los Angeles, Phoenix, Houston, San Diego, and Fresno. just lost a lot of theirs, urban farming. But we see in Detroit, Portland, Chicago, Milwaukee, and even Baltimore, where that is growing. And USDA is encouraging this. This administration and the past administrations have been encouraging urban farming. Um, and yet we're going in a different direction in this county, and which speaks to say, hey, guess what? What's going on with the leadership in Clayton County?
I agree. I did some research myself, and I hope this help you guys out. Okay, number one, the board of commissioners, they make decisions collectively. Not even the chairman has the ability to do things without the consent of the entire board or the majority of the board. I spoke to an attorney, and that attorney actually spoke to the county attorney, and that attorney said something very, very interesting. Um, that attorney said that, well, however this got started and how this is going on can be problematic for this reason here. He doesn't believe that one sole commissioner has the ability to say we're going to sell something to the 4-H club or we're going to discontinue this and do that without a vote from the entire board. I also did some more research. That garden was voted on by the board of commissioners. So you might want to do an open records request and get that. And it was done because there was some funding that they had to vote on. So there was some type of government funding that came to start it initially anyway. So if it took the whole board of commissioners to vote to get this done, it is unlikely that a new commissioner that don't know what she's doing, has very little experience, has the sole authority to just get elected and say, you know what, pack y'all stuff up and go. We're doing this and that. I don't believe she has the legal standing to do that anyway. When y'all go back before the board of commissioners, I would actually make that aware of them because I believe that whole board or the majority of the board would have to vote in order to make this right here happen. And we would hope that that would not be the case. Now we've seen some very odd things because we're in a very, very unique situation because she's married to Levon, who's the sheriff right now. And we just saw a very interesting thing where she can't vote on this budget, but she influenced two commissioners to vote not to audit some very questionable things, whereas the other two commissioners voted to audit it, and therefore nothing happened. So hopefully she doesn't have that type of influence, or those other two commissioners have enough sense to think for themselves, and they're not going to just kick seniors out of a garden. People are healing from cancer, people who are doing something positive, who are already bringing youth there and don't mind if they bring more youth there. That would be great. If we could get some of these young guys that want to be gangsters to use that muscle out there instead of using that muscle on the street, that would be great. It's already there. So it's nothing to move. If you got contact with who these kids are, get them there. And while you're there, maybe you can find out who killed that kid at the Lovejoy library, since nobody seems to know or trying to find out. So I want y'all to look at that from the legal aspect. Hopefully I don't have to bring an attorney in, but a sole commissioner doesn't have the authority to do that. Just like the whole board of commissioners had to vote to make that garden happen, the whole board of commissioners would have to vote to say, y'all get out and bring these other people in, and this is what we're doing.
Brother, I
So
have to ask you this.
go ahead.
I hate to be like this, but
Let me be the
because
bad
the
guy,
way,
be the good guy.
yeah. Did this come from her personal email, or was this the commissioner's official email?
It came from county email.
It came from
Okay.
county email.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It came from county email. Hey, I'm not able to see. Interesting. I'm not able to see the questions. If anybody has some questions, but I did make. I'm using other avenues to be able to answer some questions from some community members, and so whatever time is good, I'll go ahead and answer some of those questions. And
Well, that's an interesting question there, and that might be one that I may need to answer that one. How did she get to be a commissioner? Well, she was voted in by the people, because that's very, very questionable, because now both of their elections are questionable, because we're understanding that county employees were used 30 or 40 on duty to work on both of their campaigns. So even though both of them barely won, they might not have won legitimately. But unfortunately, there is not enough, there's no legislation out that prohibits the wife of a sheriff from running for commissioner. Maybe it's something that needs to be looked at, because it does put the county in a strange predicament, because you're talking about a spouse that, if it was allowed, would have to vote on a particular person's budget, which that's not allowed anyway. But it's very, very problematic, because if you got a 5-member board and 2 vote one way and 2 vote the other way, it's still a vote for him, because it blocks the commissioners that are trying to get some oversight into the sheriff's office. So there may have to be, that may be something that someone have to look at down the road. There are things in place to say that she can't vote on his budget or whatever, but the fact that she can't vote on it, but she can influence other people to vote the way she wants, and there's only 2 independent thinkers there that are saying, no, this is not right, we need to look into it. That's something that probably needs to be looked at down the road by the leaders that can legislate that. So that's a very, very good question. And that's something I don't think anybody quite thought of during the time when they were running, of how problematic that could be. Is there another question, Jerome, for them?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. There's another question up here.
Okay. That's a very good question. Did the commissioner ever come and speak to the gardeners or visit the garden and see the work that was done? Did the commissioner ever contact you prior to this? I think you already said you contacted her. She didn't even know there was a garden. But answer that first question. Has she ever been down there to see it and speak to all of the seniors and people?
No, she did make 2 promises. Well, it wasn't a promise, but she did make 2 mention that she would come down, and instead she sent representative. She sent her constituent and then her constituent's assistant, but we never did see her. Now, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's an interesting comment that's coming up there, and of course, don't get me wrong, you'd be surprised what kids are interested in, but I think they have a legitimate point there. You know, I've had youth contact me looking for things to do. It's rare they contacted me and say, "Hey, can someone show me how to garden?" It is hard work, but the ones that want to, we got y'all there, and that's great. I don't know if it's something, you could kind of force somebody to do. It has to be an interest there for them to begin with.
So
But go ahead.
when she said that, that was like a weird spot for me, because I'm a correctional officer. There's a retired warden on as one of the gardeners. He's also a senior, and then we have military there, and I'm like, okay, this can work. We can do this. We can join, because I didn't want her to feel like we would not assist her effort. I just didn't want the gardeners to be excluded from whatever this was that she was trying to do, and so that was the main point. And so we offered to assist, and she said no. She said so, and I have that email. I could pull that up, but just in short, because it's just long, it's lengthy. She pretty much pushed back and said, well, that's very nice. If anybody wants to help, there's it's a special kind of at-risk youth was the verbiage, and that we would need training for that, and that we would have to get background checks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, let me tell you, I doubt if any of that's true. I doubt if there's any program out there or some people she got that's already trained, ready to do it. I think it's all deception, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I don't believe,
Yeah.
because if that's the case, it could be a smoother transition. So I'm glad you said, I didn't know you was a correction officer, and you were saying there's a warden out there. But there's 2 interesting experiences I've had. When I was a detective, anytime I had to interview a suspect at Douglas County, I got so excited, because way back when, before they got the new jail, they used to have a garden, and the inmates would work in the garden. And some of the best food, believe it or not, was at the Douglas County Jail. So anytime I had a case that would take me out there, I would time it just right so I could go and eat with the sheriff and the deputies and stuff like that. But it was a very positive thing. And not only did they have fresh vegetables for the jail, but they would give a lot of these vegetables to the community. So hint, hint, you know, that might be a good idea for Levon. Maybe some of those guys that are stabbing people or getting stabbed could plant a garden and help get some vegetables out to the community. There was also a garden like that in Lovejoy. And I used to send inmate workers out there to help the muscle with that. And they used to give free, the city of Lovejoy, and they used to give free vegetables out to the seniors there. I'm not sure what happened to that program, but that would be a very constructive thing to do instead of just going and telling seniors, get out. We're going to bring some at-risk people here and we need people trained to do it. She ain't got nobody trained to do that. That's a lot.
So I looked and I tried to run this whole thing down. I know Felicia tried she didn't try. Felicia did the same thing with at-risk youth. And she took them to the Boys and Girls Club. And she still was able to provide the city with a community garden. She was able to accomplish both. And I mean, that's an idea. That is an idea.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, you already got the Boys and Girls Club. If you have this other club, fine. Bring the kid. We're bringing some kids there. But if they're going to be some at-risk kids or whatever, the easiest way to do that is to start a garden at the jail and start that type of program for the kids, if that's what they're really trying to do. I doubt if that's the true motive. Usually when you read statements like that, we used to call it detective, it's called statement structure analysis. You can see the deception all in that. If that's the real motive, there are better ways to get that done. So, you know, again, I'm gonna be the bad cop, I'm gonna be the bad guy, y'all be good, and I'm just gonna call it like it is. She lying.
Well, I've also done some homework, and I've been reaching out because just like I reached out to you, and I've reached out to Facebook and different platforms to assist with this effort. I was able to reach out to a few state officials, and I have some communication with the Soil and Water Conservation Authority. And they are willing to help with this effort to try to save our garden, and just do some collaborations with some government officials to assist the effort to avoid her from doing this, and possibly either including us, having us to help her, just not take it and not give the community something back.
Well, I think the way, and I hope this helped y'all based on that research we did. I think one thing you want to do is you want to shine a light on this. You want to contact the media if they show up at all. This is why we've got this platform, because sometimes we can't always count on them to cover every story or the stories that need to be covered, but they may well do it. So we don't want to assume they're not. I would contact them as well. I would get to the commission meeting. But the one thing I think y'all got going for you is she does not, no one commissioner, it's a board. Even the chairman can't hire and fire without the consent of the board. If the chairman wanted a new police chief tomorrow, she couldn't just go and get one. It's not that form of government like they got in the cabin like they have in Atlanta. There would have to be a vote from the board of commissioners to remove this chief and bring in a new chief. If the chairman of the board does not have that authority, then how can one commissioner have the authority to tell y'all to get out, especially on something that was voted on and something that was started with government funds, some type of grant anyway?
I was going to say that.
I think y'all in good, and I think that's the way to fight this at first.
Yeah.
And if by chance she's evil enough or mean enough to push this through, and anybody else pushes this through with her, then that needs to be something that's well seen, not just here on the news, so people know who not to vote for the next time.
Yeah, what I would
think
do,
that's how you fight this. Go ahead.
Right. What I would do is force them to send you a cease and desist letter. Now you have something concrete.
Right.
And she's going to have to explain that.
Right.
I wouldn't go nowhere. You know, if they want to fight, bring the ball to me. I'm not going to go ahead and hand it to them.
And I'm sure there'll be lawyers that would be willing to volunteer pro bono on this one. because I don't think she has the legal standing to make that decision by herself.
Unilaterally, right? That's what he's
exactly,
saying.
unilaterally, right? This has to be a decision made by the whole board. So we're not telling y'all, stand there in front of a tank and don't
Right.
whatever like that. But at the same time,
Mhm.
I don't think she has the authority to tell y'all that on her own anyway. That letter, I don't think that on email or whatever she sent probably has about as much standing as that silly thing I read on Nextdoor.
Yeah. So who
So
is she going to
that's how I
call?
would look at it.
The
Yeah.
sheriff's department, or is she going to call county police?
All right, now hold on. She used the sheriff department to lock up a lady that she didn't want. They ran her name, waited for her outside. That's the type of craziness we got going on in Clayton County right now.
That might be the
And
case.
and that's how we need to get it to a stop. But she does not have that legal standing.
Mhm.
And if that's done, that needs to be known. Because that's why she's not allowed to vote on the sheriff's budget. But if she actually used Levon to do something like that, that's something the public needs to know, because so they could deal with both of them at election time.
Right.
So yeah, I just the main thing is that I don't want we don't want, as the gardeners, we don't want to be a burden on the county. We're here to positively impact the lives of the most valuable, which are the residents, with a place to grow their own food and have healthy.
I got to interrupt you on that. She didn't even know you were there. How can you be a burden if she didn't know you were there until you told her and until
That
she
makes
got
me
mad
feel
about something?
That makes
Yeah.
me feel horrible, because sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like if I would have just closed my mouth, but my integrity just would not allow. I thought it was the right thing to do, to reach out to her, and we're in a position now. And
But it's one thing I want to make sure we're clear on this. This is not a decision by the former Commissioner Franklin, and it shouldn't be a decision by this commissioner. That was voted on by the board, and a grant was voted on for them to accept the money for this garden. So no one commissioner has the authority to tell you, hey, you can use the garden. No one tells you you're not. That has to be done by the entire board. And that was something that was done by a grant.
I reached out to the rest of the board, and I'm waiting on them to say something. And I also.
Oh, they haven't yet?
They had not said anything.
Oh, then everything stands still until you can hear from them.
Yeah. So I'm communicating that with my gardeners, who are, by the way, extremely discouraged, because it is so intimidating for just regular citizens when you have somebody like the commissioner or any public official to just come in, just stomping like a big dog and just not being personable and not coming out to meet their community. And so a few of my gardeners are very discouraged, and I had to be the strong one for them. And I had to come forward and say, you know what? I'm going to see it through. I'm going to do everything that I can. And so I reached out.
You take all of them to the commission meeting. Let's work on getting y'all an attorney pro bono or something like that. I don't think she has that authority. Nobody can come up with anything in the research I've done that said that she does. And I believe there has to be at least two, or let's hope there's got to be 3 commissioners that have enough sense to say, hey, we're not going to kick seniors out of a garden that they've been tilling for the last 3-4 years just because this woman is mad. And if they're not 3 commissioners, then we need to make that known to the public, because that means we need to find 3 commissioners that think with the people and want to help people instead of doing all this foolishness here that they're known to do.
The other commissioners, they all have gardens, and during this journey, I've been looking at them, and they brag and they boast about their garden. So I feel confident that they will, once they do speak up and once they do weigh in, that they'll help with our effort, and they'll let her know, hey, you should be mindful, and you should, be for your community in real life and not just on paper. Like, we are actual people, and we are actually getting things done, and these people are enjoying their space. And she has a lot of backing and support if she just use it. you know, and not just walk over people. I mean, I'm a member of the community. Those are members of the community, and we're all here to help. You know, we're not trying to hurt anything, and we're definitely not trying to be in the way. But it is such a pleasure to watch them. Like Alice was saying, I helped her along the way, and there's another gardener there who I call Little Miss Hardhead. One of them just didn't listen, and Alice, she listens. So Alice got the big pot. So she came in and she looked like a pro from the door, and it was just lovely to watch that journey. And Joy, I don't know why she said she's a junior gardener. Joy's garden looks like home and gardens. Joy, you're modest. You're very modest.
Well, I think y'all doing a great job. I didn't know the garden was there. Now that I know, please keep me in mind. I could use some fresh vegetables myself. It's nothing. Matter of fact, my neighbor used to have a garden, and he used to let me go pick out of there with so much stuff, and it's nothing like eating fresh out of the ground with no pesticides or whatever like that. Some of the best salads I ever had came from my neighbor's garden. If he's watching, thank you. And you know, we really, it's just good to see that y'all doing this. We're going to support you. Let me just say this in conclusion. Um, like I said, I'm gonna be the bad guy. Y'all are just people wanting a garden, wanting to be left alone. My brother's a good guy. Let me be the bad guy. Watched these commission meetings online, and I've seen that arrogant, constipated smile when people come up and bring issues before her that address what she's doing or what her husband's doing. I think we know why it's a constipated smile. Stop that craziness. It needs to stop. We're here to serve the people. That's all I got to say on that. Brother, be the good guy and bring us to a nice conclusion for these nice people.
All right. As you can see, the audience participation love this show, and naturally, I want to go ahead and say to Chastity, Allison, and Joy. I think that our brother tried to get on here a few times, but he was not able to do that. But he tried several times, so we want to wish
He
him.
can work that
Thank
garden
you.
though. He might can't work that phone, but his gardening skills is amazing.
But what I want to say to you three ladies, and to him, and to the others who are helping out the community, thank you so much. I don't think you get the respect that you should, and certainly this show. I'm glad that we were able to give a platform, and I wouldn't be too surprised if the people who you're talking about is watching this and they do a course correction. It's happened before. So let's just hope that continues. I'm Jerome Hill, and with me is retired Sheriff Victor Hill. And we're going to close out this. Thank you for everyone who's liked, commented, and subscribed. Please hit the notification bell. And until later, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
All right.